Welcome. This is our Melrose Small Animal Hospital. And when we say small animal, we're talking about everybody under a sheep. So we're talking about all the birds mostly. And on Farm Sanctuary, this location, we actually have about just over 300 chickens, which is a lot of chickens. We have about 78 waterfowl, so ducks and geese, and we have about 36 turkeys. So we have a lot of birds that live on this facility, and this hospital gives us the space to make sure that they too are getting individualized care. So it doesn't matter how many animals you have, individualized care is what makes us a sanctuary and makes this place so incredibly special. So come on in. So this is our kitchen, and it is being used right now, so it's not super clean. But this is where we keep all of our drugs and our supplies. So when an animal needs to have medication, all of the stuff that we use is in here. And that's where we keep all the drugs. Needles are locked up, and drugs that need to be locked up are always under lock and key, so they're not allowed to be touched right now. If you look in here, these are our kits. So we have 2 healthcare people that are just on medications, and that's all they do all day long, and it takes a full 8 hours, and sometimes it takes longer. So this is our AM kit. Yes, it is an igloo cooler, and yes, it is full. So this is, and it even has little notes on it, like don't forget to get the gabapentin. So some of the drugs are actually in the refrigerator, so you want to make sure that you get them, so they leave each other notes. And this is the kit. Things in peanut butter sandwiches belong to pigs. Pigs love peanut butter. Pigs don't like to take medicine, so if you put their medication in a peanut butter sandwich, you're good to go. So this shows the name of the animal. That's Andy the pig. And Andy the pig had a foot infection and had to have surgery, and he has a lot of arthritis in that foot. So he's on Rimadyl, which is carprofen and a pain med. He's on amoxicillin, which keeps the infection from spurring back in. We don't want any more of that. And he's actually on tramadol, which is an opiate. And I know that there's an opiate problem in the United States, but the pigs are good right now. Don't worry, nobody's addicted. So these are drugs for goats. So goats and sheep get their drugs in molasses, because who doesn't like a syringe full of molasses? Because what we want to do, if we can do it, and you can't always, because most ruminants have to have injectable drugs, but thankfully their pain management drugs can actually be an oral medication. So we want to make it as simple as possible, so we're not putting the animals under duress. So you don't want to chase an animal who has arthritis to give them a drug to help their arthritis when you're making their arthritis worse by chasing them. All of these are for birds, so this is ducks and geese. All of these pills are for turkeys. So everybody has their medication. And as you can see, there's a lot of medication in here. Oh my goodness. That's a lot of medication. And so this is what the AM medical person does. So we have a caregiver who is trained to give out all of these meds to all of the animals on the farm. And again, there's a lot of them, so it's a lot of work. The AM med shift is really, really long and hard. And they also let the animals out in the morning, so they make sure that everybody's okay, they give them their meds, and they let them out. There's a separate person that goes out and feeds everybody, so they don't have to focus on feeds, they just have to focus on the health care of the animals. This is the PM kit. So again, it's another person who comes in halfway through the day and stays late, so they actually put all the animals away at night, but they actually give out all of the PM medications. And again, yummy syringes, sheep and goats, peanut butter sandwiches, pigs. So everybody's drugs are in here. If there's a once-a-day drug or there's something that requires 2 people to do, there's also a midday kit. And that's when the AM person and the PM person work together and do everything that needs to be done in the middle of the day. And it's usually once-a-day treatment. So they can do those together, and it goes a lot faster. Oh. And then everybody in here, this is our cage area. And the reason that we have anybody in cages is because they have a specific problem that they have to stay separate from everybody else. So this is Adelaide. Adelaide actually broke her leg. So she has, come over here, Adelaide. Come here, please.
Adelaide, come over here.
Come here, sweetie. And she's doing great. We're really, really excited that she's doing so well. And she just went back to the doctor, and they didn't take the pens out. So she has external pens, but they will be taken out as the bone heals. So she's in the process of healing. So she's still healing, and she needs to be on cage rest. She cannot go out until she's done. We don't want her jumping off of something and re-breaking the leg. A lot of the birds that come in here, especially the layer breeds, have osteoporosis because they lay so many eggs that the calcium is depleted from their bones. So when they're jumping off of perches or things that are high that they naturally would go up on, they can get hurt and break a leg. So come closer, come closer. This is not our norm. So sometimes strange things happen in this hospital. We went to a case, a hoarding case, and actually ended up with 2 rabbits, and we don't keep rabbits, so we're looking for a home for them right now. These are 2 young female Flemish giants who are very, very close best friends. And if you look, you can see what their names are. So Mina is the small one, and Banicula is the one that bites everyone. So they're absolutely amazing. Hello. And they're being treated, you can go and look at them really quick. They're being treated for a host of problems. They were just spayed, but they had like some of the worst ear mites on record. Oh, those ears were so itchy, and their ears were all scabby and gross. So they are recovering, and as soon as they're ready to go, we will get them home, and we will take them to that home, and they will be happy, happy, happy. They'll do so much better in a home. So again, they were from a hoarding case. They were living actually in a dog kennel in stacked cages with a tarp over the top. So their life has been really, really hard and really boring. So they love to run around. They get to run around during the day. Hello. Hello. But right now they're recovering, so they're not allowed to run because they all have spay sutures in. Right? And then this is not supposed to happen, but it did. Hello. You are very lucky to see this. Oh my goodness. So normally, we're not a cat rescue. And this cat already has a home. But this little kitten was dumped. I know. And she had a fever of 103.9. And thankfully we were able to rescue her. Yes, we were. So just with a little bit of pain meds and some antibiotics, and now he is as good as new. And he already has a home lined up because he's awesome. Yes, you're awesome. Yeah, so this is a special treat. Hello. Come on. Yeah, you're leaving tonight. So they're very lucky to meet you. And he's only in here because he's so small that we'll lose him. We'll lose you. And then again, we have one more girl, and this is Callie. And Callie is in here because she has reproductive cancers. And we're trying to make sure that we see that she's going to the bathroom. Because a lot of times when most of the layer hens get a reproductive disease of some kind before they pass away. A lot of them have reproductive cancers. So as the cancer spreads, it can actually fuse the intestines together. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So we have to monitor if she's going to the bathroom. Sorry, we do. Okay. And now you can see something cute again because that kitten is constantly making the biscuits. Okay. So we're going to go making the biscuits. Kitten. Hi, handsome boy. So these are our pens, and each of the pens actually, this is where Richard lives, and again, we have little signs everywhere because the interns are actually the ones that feed some of the animals in the cages and in the pens. And so you can see, though, that many of our donors gave money to support us building this hospital, which has been a godsend because we really were not able to do the things that we needed to do in the other building that we had. We used to all work out of a big white house. Which we call the White House. But anyway, everybody that donated got plaques put up around the farm, around the hospital. So this was donated by Regina Bauer Frankenberg and Foundation, and this is one of the rehab pens. So once you're out of the cages, because you don't have to be individually treated, you then can go into a flock or another group of cages or a big place. So they also have outside access. So right now Richard's by himself because he's having heart issues. He has a lot of trouble with other birds. So if they try to fight with him, he actually could have a heart attack. So we're trying to find the perfect place to put him. He needs to be with just hens, no roosters. Right, buddy? Very handsome. He's going to show you how beautiful he is. Oh, unreal. Are you going to crawl for everybody? So when he first was brought in, he had been beat up. And so he was really shocky, and his comb and his wattles were all purple. He looked really, really terrible. He had an upper respiratory issue as well. So now he's healthy and ready to go back with the group, but he can't be with roosters. So we're going to have to find a better spot for him, and he's absolutely awesome. If you come in here, you can see that any kind of treatment change that we have, it's put on this board, so the person that comes in for healthcare, if they've been off for 2 days, can come in and look and see if there's any changes. These are animals that are being monitored, so they're not actually on a treatment, but they're being monitored because something's not quite right. And so we all talk back and forth. We leave messages, but we also have this board so people can look right when they walk in. There are more pens. This is a hen pen, and this is another pen where our hens live. And again, this is hens that have been sick and being treated for individual problems can then move to an area where they can go outside, which is really awesome. And the rooster that lives here, you can see him straight out back. That's Milton. He's got like really big feathery feet. Milton is very gentle, so he is allowed to live with these girls who are not as healthy because he doesn't like bother them too much. You can see in the background the goats are all running, but never mind. Let's go. So now we're going to go into the exam and treatment room. Coming to us from Andy Stallman, which is, Andy is actually Andy the pig that we just saw his packages of sandwiches. This is who Andy's named after. It's really awesome. Come on in. So this is our actual treatment room. And again, stuff for Jill. Come on in. This is where we fill out all our paperwork, but this is also where, like today, we were looking at ear mites, which was awesome. So when the rabbits came in, they had ear mites and we've treated them. So we had to actually look at their ear mites again, like the stuff in their ears again today to make sure that everybody was dead. And thankfully all the ear mites are dead. You can look right here, there's a stack of coats. So today is really warm, so everybody, all the goats have their coats off, but this is where their coats are. So when it gets cold again, all the coats go back on the goats. You can look again and see that we have boards everywhere that are telling you about animal movement and everything else. And this is also the room where Cornell doctors can come and look at the birds individually or the rabbits or whoever's here that's a small animal. So usually we have between 40 and 60 animals on one day when the vet comes in and he brings students from Cornell and he brings an ultrasound and then they ultrasound the layer hens to see if they have reproductive cancers or if they have reproductive illness or if they're impacted, and then we come up with a treatment plan for them. That way we don't have to take like bird after bird after bird after bird after bird to Cornell. They actually come here. They can do minor surgeries. We have oxygen. That oxygen has been really, really great for lots of animals. We've had some animals that came in respiratory failure that were able to have oxygen until the vet could come. There's an oxygen cage that's great for turkeys that are having respiratory issues. And again, that will allow them to stay here and a vet come to them instead of them having to go to the vet when they can't breathe, which is really scary. This is all of our stuff that we work with. This is for us doing blood work, so we do our own blood work here, and we make sure that the animals are healthy, and that's one of the very best ways to find out what's going on with them, is to do blood work. We do our own stuff for like, we do samples, and we take diagnostic samples, and blood work, and fecal samples, and we do all of that to make sure that everybody's healthy and happy. And I'm gonna squeeze around. Whoa. We spin our own blood. It's great. And what separates us from so many places, and it's, we've been doing this for so long, but what we learned is the key to being a sanctuary is to allow the animals to have individualized care. So we're seeing them for who they are. Like, we're not seeing them as just a big flock, because in the industry you're talking about warehouses with 20,000 birds, and you're talking about like pig barns that have thousands of pigs, and nobody gets individualized care. Most of the time when a person is walking in, it's to remove a dead body. It is not to provide care for the animals. So here and anywhere that's a sanctuary, you want to see these animals for who they are. And that's what we do. So if you look right here, oh, and here we talked about this already. This is Peanut's record, because Peanut just went in again as a blood donor. So this is a record of what, oops, and this is what happens to me when I'm in here. I drop everything. So Peanut's record is here because he was at Cornell and he gave blood. We have all sorts of animal records in here of animals that have been to Cornell. So every animal that goes to Cornell has a discharge paper, and they're listed right there. They're all set up here, and there's initials on everything, because that means every caregiver has read them and they know what they're supposed to do. And here is, I'll bring it up here because it's so much fun. This is the daily chart. So every chart here represents an animal who's on medication. So the caregivers that I was telling you about come in, and every day they are going through these charts. So all of the stuff that's in those kits coincides to what's here in the charts. So they will look and see what they have to do in the morning, and if there's any changes in their treatment plans, and then they go through and they do all the things that are in this binder, and after they're done, they sign off on it. So Callie Webb is the one that was in the cage right here, and it's talking about all the medications that she's on, and then they write down what they saw and observed. So every animal, including Callie Webb, will have a record, and then all of their records from their daily medications go here, and then they're charted in their permanent records. So every single animal, from the smallest chicken to the biggest steer, has a permanent record and tells every single thing that's ever happened to them. And again, without our members, and thank you so much, and I hope you're enjoying your live gala. But because of our members, we're able to provide this care. And we're able to let people see that we see them as individuals. So just like you wouldn't let your dog or your cat, go without veterinary care, we don't let any animal here suffer or have sickness and not treat them and see them as a living individual being. Everybody has a name, they all have charts, they have histories, they have everything here. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us at the gala. I'm glad you didn't have to dress up because, again, I do not like dressing up, so it's going to be fun for everyone. I hope you had a really good meal as well. I would love to have had one. I'm really hungry right now. But again, this is our Melrose Hospital and the last stop on our gala tour. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you for all you do for Farm Sanctuary. Good night.